Taurus, man, and Scorpio, woman. The axis of possession, pleasure, and transformation. A symbolic reading through the sun, Mercury, and moon. There's a kind of connection that doesn't ask permission. It just walks into the room. It's magnetic before it's logical. It's body before it's words. That's usually how it starts between a Taurus man and a Scorpio woman. Two fixed signs, two heavyweights of the Zodiac, who together form what tradition calls the axis of possession. The axis that runs from I have, Taurus, to I transform what I possess, or it consumes me, Scorpio. It's no coincidence this pairing keeps coming up in any conversation about soulmates and twin flames, the kind of bond women often describe as different from anything I've ever felt. It's also no coincidence that, alongside that intensity, come the classic red flags: jealousy, control, silences that last for days, neither one willing to be the first to say, I was wrong. This pair carries, at the same time, some of the Zodiac's greatest potential for deep intimacy and its greatest risk of codependency. But, as already noted in the previous episode of this series, none of this is decided by the sun alone. You also have to look at Mercury, the mind that either negotiates or blocks communication, and the moon, the emotional body that reveals whether all that intensity turns into healing or into a repeated toxic pattern. Let's open up this dynamic layer by layer. His archetype, the Taurus man and the cult of what is real. The Taurus man belongs to fixed earth, ruled by Venus, not the goddess of fleeting passion, but of pleasure you can touch, smell, keep. By nature, he's a densifier. He takes something abstract, a feeling, a desire, and wants to turn it into something tangible. A house, a routine, a body he knows by heart, a relationship with clear edges, with none of the ambiguity of a situationship. Psychologically, he's often read as the stable partner, the classic green flag of every popular compatibility list. Consistent, loyal, a provider, sensory, patient. But behind that stability lives a shadow that doesn't get talked about enough. Attachment to possession. Venus in Taurus doesn't just love. She wants to keep. And when the object of desire is someone as intense and shifting as a Scorpio woman, Taurus faces his greatest existential test, learning that loving someone isn't the same as owning them. Her archetype, the Scorpio woman and the power of transformation. The Scorpio woman belongs to fixed water, traditionally ruled by Mars, and in modern astrology also by Pluto. The god of the underworld, of symbolic death, of regeneration. She doesn't flirt with the surface. Without needing to say it out loud, she's always asking, can you handle seeing who I really am in the dark, with no filter? She's the woman pop culture loves to describe as too intense for anyone who isn't ready. And there's truth in that. But also a cliche that oversimplifies something deeper. Her intensity isn't drama for drama's sake. It's an instinctive refusal of anything shallow. She tests, observes, keeps secrets, and only hands over her trust after moving through layers of guardedness. Because, archetypally, she knows what it means to die a little with every emotional surrender and come out the other side transformed. It's magnetism, but it's also vigilance. It's fixed water. She feels everything, but doesn't let it spill out easily. The encounter, densification, and dilution of matter. Here's the most beautiful philosophical key to this pairing, and the one least talked about. Taurus and Scorpio symbolically represent two opposite, complementary movements of matter: densification and dilution. Taurus is the principle that solidifies. He takes desire and turns it into a body, a possession, something that can be stored in life's closet. Scorpio is the principle that dissolves. She takes what's already solid, including her own ego, and pulls it back into the cauldron so it can become something else. One builds castles. The other knows that every castle one day has to fall so something truer can take its place. When this connection works, it's revolutionary. He gives her ground to land her intensity on without losing herself. She gives him access to layers of himself he'd never reach alone. Stuck in his sensory comfort zone, when it doesn't work, it turns into a tug of war. Him trying to pin down something that is, by nature, fluid and ever-changing. Her feeling caged by someone who confuses love with inventory control. Attachment and detachment, the real battleground. If there's one theme that sums up this pair psychologically, it's the axis of attachment versus detachment. Taurus is terrified of losing what he's built. His identity is tangled up with what he possesses, including the people he loves. The Scorpio woman, meanwhile, as much as she also craves depth and permanence, carries at some level a wisdom, sometimes a painful one, that whatever you cling to too tightly ends up suffocating, and whatever suffocates eventually dies. This explains why this couple, when they fall into the toxic version of the pattern, falls hard. He turns possessive. She turns evasive or vindictive. He demands predictability. She punishes with silence or emotional disappearance. It's the classic script people talk about today under anxious avoidant trap. Except here, ironically, the two can swap roles. Sometimes it's him, anxious, afraid of losing the object of his love. Sometimes it's her, pulling away to test whether the bond can withstand it. But with awareness, and that's always what this series is really about. Taurus's attachment becomes roots, not chains. And Scorpio's detachment becomes depth, not flight. That's when the axis becomes what the myth always promised: raw desire transmuted into a sacred bond. Mercury, the mind that either brings them closer or stalls the conversation. Worth remembering the technical rule: Mercury never strays more than one sign away from the sun. So his Mercury can only fall in Aries, Taurus, or Gemini. Hers only in Libra, Scorpio, or Sagittarius. In emotional practice, that means if his Mercury is in Taurus, a concrete mind, slow-moving, needing physical proof of what it feels, and hers is in Scorpio, a mind that analyzes, doubts, reads between the lines, their conversations tend to be dense, full of unspoken meaning. The kind of communication that happens more in a look and a silence than in words. It works, but it requires that neither of them use silence as a weapon. If his Mercury falls in Gemini and hers in Libra, both land in air, and, interestingly, their minds end up doing the work their fixed bodies can't. Easing tension with humor, negotiating, saying out loud what they feel before it turns into built-up resentment. It's almost a relief from the weight carried by the sun and moon. Moon, the real thermometer of intimacy. And Once again, the moon is what really runs the show day to day. In the grumpy good morning, in the way each of them asks for comfort without asking, in how they react to jealousy, to silence, to absence. If both moons fall in earth or water, the bond tends to have that kind of intimacy pop culture calls a safe space. He feels her intensity as something he can hold, not fear. She feels his stability as an embrace, not a cage. If either moon falls in air, the risk is that one of them ends up feeling emotionally alone. The water moon asking for depth, the air moon offering rational distance. And if either falls in fire, the pattern tends to be explosions followed by withdrawal, intense fights, even more intense makeups, a cycle that's as addictive as it is exhausting. Taurus and Scorpio isn't about working out or not working out. It's about two archetypes learning, through each other, how to handle the raw material of life, what to hold on to, what to release, what to transform. He teaches her that it's possible to have roots without losing her soul. She teaches him that it's possible to transform without losing his ground. In the end, this isn't just a pair of signs. It's a living metaphor for what it means to love without suffocating, and to surrender without dissolving. And that, whether or not you believe in astrology, is one of the most human lessons there is.